In this video I am going to tell you about the top 10 most graphically demanding PC games. They're gorgeous, but these games have some high-spec GPU requirements. These are the most graphically demanding PC games today. Whenever the newest and most competent computer components are released to the public, so are the video games that fully utilize their potential. And with leading hardware manufacturers competing to push out highest performing parts for the best price almost on a yearly basis, it's clear why the gaming industry has been consistently experiencing a technological incline. These games are created not only as a gaming experience but also as a way of exploiting the most advanced new graphic technologies. For those looking to upgrade their rig in 2020, look to the recommended requirements of these 15 most GPU-intensive games to get inspiration. Updated on 13th of February, 2020 by Anastasia Mayo, technology is constantly improving year after year. Just the sheer scope of what games can do is expanding all the time, which is why so many incredible-looking games are currently out on the market. Let us start. Number 10. The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt. The Witcher 3 is still a benchmark for high-end gaming systems considering how high its visual settings can be tweaked. If you're an NVIDIA user, you can punish your GPU even further by turning on Hairworks feature to make the characters in the game even more lifelike. Moreover, the absolutely massive open world, covered in beautiful textures and illuminated by back plus light occlusion, makes the game very demanding. Running The Witcher 3 on anything less powerful than a GTX 770 and a solid processor will result in sub-30 FPS image reproduction. However, even cards like the new RTX 2060 and above won't be set to play this game at over 1440p, especially if they hope to get more than 60 FPS. Number 9. Final Fantasy 15. In 2018 we finally got to see Final Fantasy 15 on our desktop monitors as well, and now there's promise of a Final Fantasy 7 remake on the horizon too. But with FFXV as a price, utilizing top-notch graphics, and some of the most stunning graphics and advanced physics, GameWorks technology, the game will truly test your system's mettle. We're still baffled by the required 155GB free space to play this game in 4K, that's right, 155GB for a single game. And even then, we can't guarantee 60 FPS with anything tamer than a straight-up RTX 2080 or GTX 1080 Ti, some of the best commercially available graphics cards, as well as 16GB of RAM. You can always tone it down to 1080p, though. Number 8. Assassin's Creed: Odyssey. One of the most beautiful and immersive open-world experiences in recent gaming history, Assassin's Creed: Odyssey is all about graphic power. The game allows you to freely explore the landscapes and detailed locations of ancient Greece, while the biggest drag on your graphics card will be the draw distance setting. But, one of the biggest reasons why Odyssey boasts one of the most gorgeous open worlds we've seen is its dynamic lighting effects. To experience the whole shebang, you'll need at least a moderately powerful, 4GB graphics card, such as the GTX 970, something like the i7-3770 processor, and about 46 gigs of disk space. Number 7. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The latest chapter in Lara Croft's story is more visually stunning and diverse than ever. The previous game was no piece of cake when it comes to system requirement, and this one continues the tradition. Even at mediocre refresh rates, you won't be able to enjoy this game with anything less than a GTX 1060 graphics card. The game is particularly graphics intensive, combined with the brainpower of something like an i7-4770K processor. To consistently make the 60 FPS mark, most of us will need at least a GTX 1080, and we won't even go into 4K resolution gaming for this one. Number 6. Project Cars 2. Hands down one of the most stunning autosport games out there, Project Cars 2 improves tremendously on its predecessor. The graphics are completely photorealistic, and the fact that you need at least 50GB of free space to even install this game should be a testament of the amount of detail it includes. However, it's the CPU that's getting the lion's share of the work in this game. You see, this is not an arcade racer like NFS games, it's a pure racing simulation. Meaning, higher emphasis is put on physics, something CPU is solely in charge of. Because of this, the processor recommended to run the game is a hefty i7-6700K, along with a high-end GTX 1080 graphics card. And that's just for 1080p. Number 5. Kingdom Come: Deliverance. Foliage. That's the word that's probably going to be on your mind as your overpriced system struggles to push out 60 FPS in this game. This game's Dunia engine is actually based on the Crytek engine developed for the notorious Crysis. The system requirements for this game make little sense. Despite allegedly needing a GTX 1060 graphics card and a solid processor, and we can't forget the necessary 16 gigs of RAM, players running GTX 1080Ts will still get under 60 frames at some points in the game. Number 4. Far Cry 5. For the fifth sequel of their renowned first-person shooter, Ubisoft decided to employ the same engine that made Kingdom Come: Deliverance your system's worst nightmare, the Crytek-based Dunia engine. Of course, the game's fictional Montana offers plenty of beautiful scenery with a strong sense of freedom and excitement, while the franchise's signature action and brutality remains the main ingredient of its success. However, if you hope to run this game at anywhere near 60 FPS and a decent resolution, you'll need a high-end card like the GTX 1080, paired with at least an i7-6700, and 16 GB of RAM. Number 3. Hitman 2. Hitman 2 is the most beautiful Hitman yet, brimming with cutting-edge visual tech features, the most eye-catching being their faithful object reflections. All the textures, filtering, lighting, and foliage have also been updated to make the game as taxing as possible for your system. Don't think of running this game at 1080p without at least a decent 4GB graphics card. Maxing out settings on 4K resolution is still possible, but will require a god card such as the RTX 2080 Ti, paired with a fast CPU. Number 2, Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. This game set the standard of graphics quality and technology when it first came out. With the Ultra preset, the game competes with the most demanding titles out there, even years later. To max out your texture settings, you're gonna need at least 6 GB of memory on your GPU. According to a benchmark test conducted by Etnix, a dependable 60 FPS on maxed out settings will happen only on a GTX 1080 or better. This is incredibly demanding of a game that was released at a time when the GTX 1080 was the one card to rule them all. Number 1. Metro Exodus. Metro Exodus features the fabled real-time ray tracing technology support to use the full potential of the new NVIDIA graphics card lineup. Players planning on running the game on lower settings might have issues, as the game offers only a few possible tweaks to improve performance for lower-grade systems. Benchmarks by PC Gamer on lowest settings reveal an average of under 60 FPS on anything worse than a GTX 1070, a powerful card. Cranking everything up to the max will make even the most powerful cards in the world, such as the RTX 2080 Ti or the Titan RTX, struggle to hit 40 frames.